Welcome into another video here. We're talking about the Penn State Nittany Lions here because what a performance they just had in Morgantown. It's a hostile place in West Virginia, and they went in there and won the game. The line was weird. The line was so weird. That line movement, if you don't know what I'm talking about, the line I think opened like 10.5. It went all the way down 7.5. There was 1-7 out there by the time kickoff happened, and Penn State rolled them. I did not understand that line movement. The thing with Penn State, and you can already tell by the title of this video where I'm going with this video. But Penn State's defense is elite. The front seven, the D-line, the linebackers, good. Always is, and it still is, right? But now this offense, if this offense can replicate what it did in West Virginia game throughout the whole season, Penn State is just as good as Oregon. They're just as good as Ohio State. They can compete. And guess what? They catch both those teams at home this season. They can beat one of those teams. I think in all the multiverses out there, there's at least one universe. Well, anything can happen in any multiverse, but there's definitely a couple universes out there where Penn State finishes this season 12-0. I'm not saying it's likely to happen, but there are universes out there where Penn State finishes 12-0. When I used to look at the schedule, the preseason, I was like, this could be an 11-1 season if the offense just is a little bit better or a lot better than it was last year. And it looks very promising right now, right? And it low-key looked promising the first time they versed West Virginia. But you could argue this West Virginia team is better than they were last year, right? It's a big step forward. You got your returning quarterback. Defense got a little better. So you could argue this team's a little better. Plus, the game was at home this time. Penn State rolled them out of the building. I know there was a weather delay, but it was a great performance. And Fleming wasn't even involved in the game. Arguably the best wide receiver in Penn State, transfer wide receiver, wasn't even involved in the game. And Penn State won this game pretty easily. Drew Ayler looked amazing. And he struggled last year. He was really bad last year. At times, probably was losing them games at times last year. And you could argue this was the best game he ever played. And when he plays games like that and he's making throws like that, Drew Ayler is the best quarterback in the Big Ten. He's better than Dylan Gabriel. He's better than Will Howard. If this team is that good on offense, this team could argue is the best team in the Big Ten. Now, I mean, James Franklin never can win the big one, right? And they're catching the two best teams in the conference at home, which is huge for them. But obviously, James Franklin can still choke. Obviously, Drew Ayler can return to old Drew Ayler at any point, right? So those are big question marks for Penn State. Those are things they have to keep up and keep going. But this team could be really good. And I think I want to bet this team to win Big Ten, but I look at the odds, plus 450, that's still kind of small. Like, obviously, Vegas thinks this team's good too. If the odds are only plus 450, they think this team's good too. And it wasn't the most optimistic thing when you saw Oregon, how they play, when you saw Ohio State, how they played in the beginning. Nebraska looks good. I think Dylan Raiola could be the second best quarterback in this conference behind Drew Ayler, right? They could start 8-0. Like, realistically, if you look at Nebraska's schedule, they could start 8-0, which would be kind of crazy for the Big Ten. And then USC looked good. So now you're Oregon, you're Ohio State. All of a sudden, the gap between Oregon, Ohio State, and the rest of the four in Penn State, Michigan, Nebraska, I'm blanking on team, but the four USC, the gap's way closer than we thought a week ago. Way closer. And that's scary for those two over there. Penn State's good, man. I'm going to bet them to win the Big Ten. I'm betting it. I already have Ohio State, so I'm going to bet Penn State as well. I think it's worth it. This team's good. And if the offense gets better, as they got a new offensive coordinator, if this offense gets even better or improves even more, they're going to be really good. So, Penn State, great week one. I was probably the most impressed with Penn State. If this is like a most impressed video, it's Penn State. They can roll here. Watch out for those Nittany Lions. Watch out. I'm Josh Messing. Thank you.